Hey guys, and welcome to my channel, Karen's Budget and Plan. Today I want to talk to you about a topic that has come up a little bit in my cash envelope stuffing and in general in my budget videos, and it's about having and sticking to a grocery budget. So I'm going to share with you how I got my number each week of how much I put towards groceries, and I'm hoping that it can help you guys figure out your number when it comes to groceries. So one of the first things that I done before I set my budget, okay, let's start from the start. When I started budgeting back in 2016, I just randomly wrote down groceries, 600 euros, dining out, 5 euros, like, you know, just random values for each of the categories that I could think about. And then that month was an absolute bust because we spent way more than way more on some areas and way less on other areas than what I gathered. So then what I started to do was track every single transaction that I done. Track if I went to and bought like this for €1, I wrote that down. If I went and bought my pen, if I went and bought like a lollipop for 35 cents in the shop, I wrote that down. I wrote down everything and I assigned it a category. So there was obviously like miscellaneous stuff, there was groceries, eating out, personal care, get my hair done, getting new glasses, we went to the doctor, like all of these categories, and they started to form each other. And you really kind of need to do that for a good 6 to 8 weeks in order to kind of figure out, I keep doing this, figure out the level at which you were spending. So then let's say that you have done that, you have been tracking your expenses for the last 6 to 8 weeks. What you need to do then is obviously put them into like a Excel sheet, or even if you just want to write them down, if you wrote them down, maybe do individual pages. So just grab yourself an empty book, an empty notepad, or just empty paper that's hanging around, and just say here like food shopping or groceries. So anything that's food related, for that you write that down. Next page will be eating out. So if you went to McDonald's, if you went to the local coffee shop and got some coffee, if you went and just bought a drink in the like you bought like a bottle of water or a bottle of Coke or something, write that down in dining out. The next one, your electricity, write down how much your electricity cost when the bill came in. Write down every single thing on its own sheet of paper, or you can write it down individually on like an Excel spreadsheet or something. You don't need to get all like fancy with it, especially not at the start, because you are just trying to work out what your budget is. So then you'll eventually have like 6 to 8 weeks of groceries. So then you kind of break it down into weeks. So like I'd have, like for last week I went to the grocery store 17 times, okay, and then add that up exactly how much you spent in that week, and do that for each week in a 7-day basis. Do it for a week, and that way you'll know how much you're spending each day, each week, and then you can figure out how much you're spending each month. So over the 2 months that you've been tracking, you saw that in 1 month you spent 550 euros, and in the next month you spend 650 euros. Okay, so then you need to think about your weekly paycheck. So if you were spending 550 and then you're spending 650, you just take the average of it, you know, just work out what the average of that is, and you then set and assign that as your monthly grocery budget. So we're gonna say 600 euros. So 600 euros per month is what we're now assigning to groceries. So what you do then is you, like, obviously you'll know how often you get paid. For us, we get paid on a weekly basis. So 600 by 12 is 7,200 in a year that we would spend specifically on groceries. So divide it by a week, so 138 euros and 50 cents is what we'd be spending each week on that, what we are assigning ourselves each week. So 138 euros is what I would take out of the bank, and I'd put that in my my cash envelope. So because you are only starting this, because you're starting to define your budget, I would advise people to do cash envelopes. And not just because I sell them on Etsy, but because it is a great way at the start to track all your money, and it helps you try to stick to your budget. So once you have 550 euros, then you go about your business for the month. You only spend what you put in your cash envelope. Obviously things happen, situations arise, you run out of all of the cleaning products, or like you run out of like toilet roll and toiletries and all that sort of stuff. And for me, that all of that stuff is included in groceries. So all of our cleaning products, all of our household products, like toilet roll, like toothpaste, beauty products, stuff like that. Now what I mean by beauty products is shared beauty products, so like shower gel, hand soap, hair shampoo if it's used by myself and Robert. If it's just one that specifically is for your hair and it costs 50 euros, that's not going to be included in your groceries, that's going to be included in a beauty category. So there are situations arise where you might go over your budget, and what I would advise in those first few months, up to 3 months after you have defined your budget at 600 euros, is not to beat yourself up if you're going over by 50, 60, 70 euros in the month. Situations arise. What you need to do then in order to cut back on your groceries, because that's really what we want to do, we want to save money everywhere that we can, is that we need to slowly each month. So let's say for 3 months I've been setting my budget at 600 euros. The first month I was so close, I was 625. The second month I was 600 euros, and then the third month I was 650. I would cut back my budget to 575 euros if it's a case that each month you were going over it. Now you're kind of like, Karen, why would you do that? You've been overspending every single month since you've set the budget. You know, is the point not we would increase that budget so we're not having a budget overspent? And what I would advise you to do is just cut it back by 25 euros, and then only spend what's in this. Look in your pantry, look in your presses, look in your freezer, and see if there is anything there that can make a meal, because it turns out that there is. I'm always going on about how we don't have a big freezer and we don't have like big pantry or anything that we can't keep, but if I searched in my freezer and in my press, turns out I could probably make 1, possibly 2 meals out of that. So, you know, eat what is in your pantry and eat what is in your freezer, and then the next week go and do your shopping again. Don't be buying stuff that's you're saving like in bulk, you know, because that's where we kind of fall down somewhere, because it turns out that most times we don't actually end up eating what's in the freezer. So that's why I'm advising people to do like eating from the freezer challenge or eating from your pantry challenge. And then another thing to look at, and it's something that I have to work on now as well, is look and track your waste. So keep a track, write down. What I'm going to be doing is writing down exactly if I throw something out. So I know today I bought some 2 weeks ago, last week's groceries, I bought little gem lettuce heads, so heads of lettuce. We used one and the other one has now gone bad, so that's going to end up in the bin. So I'm going to write down lettuce here, and then when you track them, again I would advise you to track them for a good 3 or 4 weeks and see what you are throwing away. And then you really kind of, if lettuce is always kind of appearing, or cucumber is always kind of appearing, or like peppers or something is kind of always appearing on your list, you really need to think to yourself, is this something that I really want? Is this something that I really need? And am I just buying it for the sake of buying it? Because those things can definitely pop up and appear and influence our buying. So that's what I'm going to be doing. That's the challenge I'm going to set myself, is that I'm going to start tracking my food waste, and I'd advise you to do that too. If you already have a grocery budget and you're pretty good at sticking to the whatever 100, 200 euros a week that you've set yourself, start writing down a food waste Also, I would advise you, as I said, to go through your pantry and make a list. I have 4 tins of beans, some mushy peas, some pasta sauce, some pasta, you know, like pasta sauce and pasta is one meal. Like, that is a meal. That's a meal that people eat. You know, you can add cheese to it, you can add like you can chop up some veg and stuff and put that in there, fry it off, you know, whatever, and that's a meal. So yeah, sorry, my throat is so sore. I'm getting cut up. So yeah, that's what I advise you to do. So the first thing obviously is to track all your expenses, and eventually you'll be able to work out how much you're spending on your groceries. Work it into like a monthly cost. From that monthly cost, find out the average of the 2 months that you've been tracking, and you know, set your budget at that. After 2-3 months, cut that back by 25 euros, and then stick that to your budget. Again, I would advise you to do cash envelopes. Cash envelopes, I found, have really helped, because it just kind of makes you look at the money, feel the money. The money has a cause. The money is real. It's not just on your debit card. It's not like a little number that's just on your debit card that you don't really track. Then you go through your pantry and your freezer and you write down what you have there and make meals from those. So that's like a pantry and freezer challenge. You do that, try to get as many meals as you can for the week, and I'm going to be sharing that with you. I'm going to be doing that pretty soon, where I'm going to go through and show you guys what I have, and you know, come up with a couple, hopefully 2, possibly 3 meals that I can use up what I have here. And then, you know, that week your groceries will be a smaller amount, so again, that will help you save money and save the money from the cash envelopes as well, so you can then reduce the next month your budget to a smaller amount if you just kind of keep doing that. Eat what you have there. If you have a lot of bulk buying things, do you really need to have 50 toilet rolls of toilet paper? I don't think you do. Use them till you have 10 left, and then maybe buy some more, or use them till you have 1 left and then buy some more. There's lots of stuff. We don't need to keep bulk buying. If we keep bulk buying, we are just sitting on money. Money is just sitting in there and we're not using it. And again, something I am going to be doing is looking at my food waste. So this week I'm going to start a list and write down exactly what I'm throwing out, what waste I'm throwing out. I know for a fact that there is actually chicken fillets, 1.5 chicken fillets that we haven't used, that's sitting in our fridge, that's gone off. It's starting to smell, so I'm gonna have to throw those out, and that is like a good 2-3 euros worth of chicken that I'm throwing in the bin because I was too lazy to freeze it. So yeah, they are my tips. I hope that they were helpful for you. I hope that would help you to start your grocery budget and then slowly reduce it down each week until you become comfortable. At a certain point, you will know when you get too low. Like if I said I'm gonna just spend 80 euro a week, I could do it if I didn't buy some of the branded products that I buy, but realistically I'm not comfortable at the 80 euro mark. In fact, I've come down 10 euros this last month. I was at 110 euros and now we're at 100 euros. So I keep kind of changing my grocery budget as time goes on. So there will become a point where you know that if you slip under that, you're not really that comfortable at that amount, and you know, that's okay. You can definitely bring that back up. So I hope that was some way helpful to people. It was one of the questions that I keep kind of receiving, like how much do you spend on your groceries and how did you figure out that number and that sort of stuff. So I hope that is helpful, and I will talk to you in my next video, guys. Bye.